Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Seppi, happy to have you here. Today we're actually going to be talking about the Toho Animation anime coming out in April in Japan, I believe, and then maybe a couple months later everywhere else in the world, Godzilla Singular Point, in which Toho has just done two reveals. They actually showed off two of the major kaiju, one being Jet Jaguar, which we'll talk about, and also Godzilla himself, which is unusual that they just showed him and didn't wait for any specific moment in the show that might be more impactful, but I guess I'm not complaining. We'll have to see. So let's start with Jet Jaguar. This is kind of a hot take. I love how Jet Jaguar looks. I think it's a cool representation of the source material, but it is obviously kind of made into more of like an industrial mech type of design, I suppose, where it's not just like a guy in a rubber suit, which I love, but you know, this looks more industrial, kind of punkish or something like that. Pretty cool. Why is that a hot take? Well, because if you look anywhere below the waist on Jet Jaguar, his legs are hilariously small, but I like it. And the reason I like it is because it's new and it's different. And I feel like, one, that's not going to be his final form, but two, even if it is, it's different. It's something new. And I think with animation, it's going to be a lot easier to articulate him in a way that maybe isn't pushing the boundaries on believability, but, you know, maybe stretching the truth a little bit on what those legs could do. I think it's going to be fine. I've seen a couple people like really baffled by it. I'm very intrigued. I'm eager to see it in the show. The anime does appear to be a little bit more like a traditional, well, not necessarily traditional, but maybe like a 90s hand-drawn like Ghost in the Shell or Ninja Scroll type of anime. So intrigued to see how Jet Jaguar moves. I love the color scheme. I love how the face looks on the mech, and his waist is kind of like pinned together with this like ball joint type of situation. So he can probably do some spin attacks, and he's got these noodly arms. So I feel like it's at least going to be very entertaining to watch, and probably going to be some pretty cool like oh crap moments with Jet Jaguar. So you'll have to let me know in the comments below what you think about that. Moving on from Jet Jaguar and his little leg situation to a opposite situation, Godzilla. He was revealed in his entirety from head to tip of the tail, and his legs, very bottom heavy, huge thunder thighs. Oh Lord, he coming. Big bottom heavy Godzilla here. But again, I kind of like it. I think that he would need big legs to support that weight, and even just kind of stepping out of, I guess, the realism on Godzilla, it just reminds me of previous iterations. A little thinner around the ankles, but big thunder thighs. And while you're going to hear those things clapping from 100 miles away, I don't think they are too ridiculous. I think the angle of the image they shown is potentially a low angle, and even if not, it's animation. I think it's going to be okay. Taking a step back from the glorious thighs, just looking at the design as it is, couple big picture things to note. Looks very reminiscent, to me at least, of like a more Millennium style Godzilla. He's got the neck flare kind of thing that goes down into his chest. He's a charcoal gray with silver dorsal spines, even though they got that red thing in there. And the red like vein like things that make it look more like an actual maple leaf or something. I think it's going to be interesting. I think that's actually going to tie into the story. We've seen this red mist in the trailers that we've gotten so far. It's kind of subtle, and it leads me to believe, is Godzilla feeding off of this? Is he generating it? Is it just drawing him near what's going on with this red mist? And obviously that's the same color of the veins going through. So there's probably going to be some tie-in, I imagine. But just looking at the design language of it, that charcoal gray with the silver and the red is a very cool color scheme. And overall, yeah, he looks a little bit more like a Millennium Godzilla, especially with those neck flares. He's got 3 toes, and one of those little toe spikes on the back of like that animal type leg where it like curls in and then jets down, and then there's like a little nail sticking off of it, which I don't know the purpose of that, but it looks pretty cool. Overall, I think his design looks a little bit more animalistic. The arms are interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about them. I like them. They're kind of more pressed in, and it looks like he could like maybe flare up and get bigger to intimidate. They possibly could have some reach. We'll have to wait and see how they animate them. But as of right now, they looked a little bit tucked in like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. bigger than a T-Rex's arms, but we'll have to see if they have some reach to them when the show comes out. The other thing I want to note here is the texture of his skin is interesting to me. I think it's my least favorite part of the design, which is not that big of a deal because it's probably the only thing I don't actually like from the design. And it's not that I hate it. And again, I'm open to it. It's a different interpretation. It just looks a little bit less scaly and a little bit more like rolling molten lava, which molten lava sounds cooler than scales, but like I think it's patterned in a weird way. It doesn't quite look like how Shin Godzilla looks, where he looks like he's kind of just made of this molten rock, kind of. This looks a little bit more like it's just very big folds on his leg, and it doesn't quite look right to me. But again, it's not that big of a deal. It's not a deal breaker. The other thing I want to mention is the length of his tail. It is enormous. I'm a big fan of like dragons or kaiju just with like oversized tails. Awesome tail whip action. He's probably going to be whipping things left and right, smacking those little Rodan creatures out of the sky. Going to be very cool to see. And yeah, I like it so far. The last thing regarding design that I want to talk about is his head, his face. I think it is probably, and this might be a little bit bold to say, we've only seen a couple different shots of it. It is probably one of my favorite Godzilla faces that we've gotten. I think it looks more like the 54 traditional with as far as the shape of the head goes, with that kind of mushroom shape, but it does look a little bit, I guess you could say modernized or shaped up a little bit. Like you can see that cool, like swooping shape with his jaw. There are some sharp features. The fangs, those like protruding fangs that are kind of always sticking out, and specifically his eyes, the shape and the size of his eyes, the design inside of them that we can see from this small image, and the placement of them. He looks super ferocious. He looks terrifying in this, and I think it's going to be cool to see what direction they take this Godzilla. We still don't know if he's going to be the reckoning of man or the unlikely hero, kind of just balancing nature out. We don't know what role this Godzilla is going to play. I do hope it is, if not one of those, a really cool, completely different take. I don't know what they could do, but I'm open for new things going on in the Godzilla universe. But yeah, he looks ferocious. I hope, because of the way his face looks, that they're going to animate it in a really cool way, that he's going to have a more animalistic attack style. But it's apparent that they're using design language to show us that this version of Godzilla is nasty and has the potential to move. I want to see him wrestle with Rodan, tail whip him, get beat up, beat the piss out of each other, grow as friends, bro hug, all that kind of stuff. It looks like this Godzilla can move. For a second, I just want to talk about the proportions of Godzilla in respect to the world. I don't think they are going to be having him anywhere near the size of Godzilla Earth. I don't even think they're going to have him the size of the legendary Godzilla. It looks like this Godzilla is possibly going to be smaller. I want to see him brawl with the other kaiju, and unless something major happens where the kaiju mutate and become a lot bigger, it doesn't look like they're super big. Rodan looks like the size of like a pterodon or something. Even Anguirus, when they showed him, he doesn't look like he's much bigger than just like maybe a large mansion or a small office building or something like that. So in order for Godzilla to fight these guys, he's possibly going to have to even be smaller than like the 54 Godzilla. So we will have to wait and see on that. But I'm liking what we see. I think he looks fantastic. I love the color scheme. I love the blend between the 54 Godzilla and, in my opinion, the Millennium Godzilla. He looks ferocious. He's got those elbow spikes. Maybe his arms can stretch out, flare out, scratch, and do some damage. I'm just excited. I liked, this is unpopular as well, but I love the design for Godzilla Earth, even though he barely moves. I get it. He's enormous. But I do want them to take advantage of animation and make this Godzilla move. I'm super excited to see that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Can this guy move? Do you like the design of him overall? What are your thoughts on Jet Jaguar? Very interested to read through those comments. And yeah, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you in the next one. See ya.